This is the Madison International Speedway Joe Shear Classic, presented by Keen Parts and CorvetteParts.net. To the line, Vandergeest and Nason have control. Rolling off of turn number 4 on the high banks to the start-finish line. We're underway in the Joe Shear Classic.
Austin Nason gets a great jump on the high side. The 14 will lead him up the back straightaway, and Levon Vandergeest is under pressure from Michael Bilderback for the second spot. And Casey Johnson sticking his nose underneath the Minnesota driver, Dan Fredrickson. That is for the 4th position. Ty Majeski in that 21. Yes, I said 21. Ty Majeski lurking behind Casey Johnson. Dalton Zier now to the inside of Fredrickson. We talked about Fredrickson having a handful at black number 36. The Lakeville, Minnesota native, Fredrickson, a winner of this Joe Shear Classic. In fact, the inaugural Joe Shear Classic back in 2008. And he is dropping back now in the 7th position. Luke Fenhaus looks to be the next one to move underneath Fredrickson. Meanwhile, up front, it's still Austin Nason. And they are stacked up behind him. Luke Fenhaus now there off of turn number 2, Jim, and Fredrickson pinches Fenhaus down low. That is the best spot to pass a driver, and Luke Fenhaus made the pass there coming off of turn number 2. Johnny D trying to do the same off of 4. There's your pole sitter, the 23, Levon Vandergeest. Levon in the 6th position. Last week's winner, Luke Fenhaus, sideways off of 4. Levon will hang on to the position.
Couple of updates. The number 34, Brandon Hill, already into the pits. He turned right into the pits. That means their day is done. And into the pit road, the live pit, the number 39 of Andrew Morris, who had some carburetor issues, some pickup issues earlier today. So he's already behind the wall as a 2-time Joe Shear Classic winner. He's in pit road on lap 17. A little bit better. This is the battle for the lead. Down the backstretch into turn number 3. The drag race is on. Nason has it. No doubt he's getting told in his ear. There's a car behind you. It's a big black number 5, and he's not getting off your tail. Make hay. Nason leads. Here comes Johnson. And the number 21 of Ty Majeski now has worked into 3rd. Majeski there in 3rd, dropping Michael Bilderback back a couple of spots. When they opened the door, Dalton Zier came through. Top 4 cars, all strong competitors. On the short list of contenders, they're leading the field with Austin Nason, a former Joe Shear Classic winner, thus far leading all these laps. But man, there's a lot of racing here in these top 5 cars. Stalking him at turn number 3 this time. The number 5, the Hogan Farms 5 Chevrolet of Casey Johnson.
Caution.
Turn
3. That is
Ty Majeski has gone around big time into the back of the wall. Wow.
Heavy
Majeski running
damage.
3rd at the time of this. When that happens, generally it is about entering turn number 3. Hard hit there. Good to see Ty walk away.
That'll leave the bottom open for Casey Johnson off of turn number 4, and we are back to green. Nason, as he did at the drop of the initial green flag on the outside, had a good run down into corner number 1. He's got half a car length on Casey Johnson off of 4. Now will he clear Johnson? He will. Austin Nason leads at lap number 35.
Whoa! Contact between the leaders. Right front up in the air momentarily as Johnson was really trying to find a spot that Nason wasn't. They made contact in a big way off of turn 4. That could have been huge as our leaders were battling for position.
I spent a few minutes talking this morning with Dan and his younger brother David, and David's calling the shots there as the crew chief, and David says, you know the driver's never happy.
Give me this, give me that, do a little more. Why isn't it going faster? And drivers rarely take their own. To the inside, the 119 of Dalton Zier. Zier to the inside of Nason this time. Nason gives him a little room, just enough to the bottom of turn number 3 and 4. Zier is coming through on the bottom, slicing his way to the lead. Zier out front, lap 54 of the Joe Shear Classic. New leader, Dalton Zier. Will it be long enough of a door on the inside open for Casey Johnson to mount a run? Nason gives him the inside. Here comes Casey Johnson out of Edgerton, just down the road. This is a home track for Johnson, the 2-time ARCA Midwest Tour champion.
There is our fast qualifier, John DeAngelis Jr. in that number 7 machine Gets underneath Luke Fenhouse, move Johnny D up to the 6th position.
Great look here. Now I'm looking at all the doors. Who has the exhaust right below the number 9 on the right side of Derek Krause's car. You'll see the exhaust exit with a nice faceplate, but that was a great move by Krause there, getting inside of Bilderback. Great quick maneuver.
As we're focusing on Matt Kenseth, and now Bilderback has brought the number 2 machine down pit lane. To the back bumper goes Dalton Zier. Excuse me, Dan Fredrickson. Pardon me.
And keep in mind, Dalton Zier wants to put as many good cars down, and Fredrickson is in one of those cars he'll want to get lapped quickly here. He gave Dan the nudge off of turn 2, saying, hey, I'm coming. Will Dan give him room? Dan's fighting to stay in lead lap. He gets that benefit a little bit of, hey, I can get a little pushback here. The 11 of Bobby Kendall slowing.
And there was a scary moment coming off at turn number 4 for Dalton Zier. While Zier battled with Fredrickson, look at who's in his rearview mirror. That allowed Casey Johnson to close in.
Thanks, Curtin. As that interview began, it's really loud down there, and then it got quiet. You know why? We're under caution. Controlled caution. Here we come to the restart line to resume the final half of the Joe Shear Classic 200, presented by CorvetteParts.net and Keen Parts underway. Zier, does he have the run to the inside he likes? Absolutely. Can he keep Casey Johnson off his door panel? Nope. Down the backstretch, it's a dead heat.
Casey Johnson with that miss under the hood looked pretty stout going up the back straightaway. There's contact off of turn number 4. Casey Johnson will lead at the line.
Zier is 31 years of age, moved to Wisconsin in 2009 to get the chance to race like this right here, side by side with Casey Johnson, the 2-time ARCA Midwest Tour champion. In that number 5, he's 31 years of age as well. I mention that because I feel these guys have been racing half their life at this level, and they're putting on for the fans that are on their feet still watching this one settle out. You're not wild cards.
And Caden's got to get back to go to school.
Yep. Spin down the backstretch to the 14 of Austin Nason.
The driver who led the first 53 laps of this event.
I just caught out of the corner of my ID, and he was spinning around off of turn 4. It looked like maybe a tire down. A lot more damage there. That rear end is way out of skew. Panhard bar or something.
Johnson the leader. Johnson the control car. Nice steady pace through 3 and 4. Back to the green. And the outside lane, as it has done on the initial start and every subsequent restart, the outside lane has gotten a good run going down into turn number 1. That holds true again. Casey Johnson leads. Top 3 make it the top 4. Go single file across the stripe.
He's currently in 7th with Fenhouse right there with him.
And Krause had gotten by John DeAngelis for position. Johnny D now fighting back on the inside. Flip-flopped. He crossed him over.
Krause did the same thing a lap ago to get that position. Johnny then cranked it down to the inside and got position here. This again, a great race for 3rd.
Side by side up the back straightaway.
Clean with all capital letters. Clean racing thus far. We just had 2 single car incidents for mechanical failures and a controlled caution in this 200 lap race on this big half mile.
And 50 to go, Jim.
3rd place seems like it's the last lap every lap with these guys going after
They
it.
are not done.
And like, you only paid for 3rd. You don't get nothing for 4th. They're really racing hard. I love it.
They are. Krause now back to the end. Whoa, Johnny D sideways off at turn number 2. That'll open the door for that shockwave number 9 of Derek Krause.
Not familiar with Derek Krause. I'm familiar with Derek Krause's dirt experience, winning the pole at Knoxville last year in the Truck Series. 0.8 of a second. It's about 7 car lengths the difference between our leader Casey Johnson and the Joe Shear Classic presented by Keen Parts and CorvetteParts.net. That's the 2 leaders of this race. They've now distanced themselves nicely from Derek Krause, who's finally won that battle for 3rd.
Doing off of corner number 4 now. Casey Johnson will look to the inside of Eddie Hoffman. Hoffman shown in the 18th position. The Chicagoland veteran, Chicagoland champion.
Hang on, Dean. Our race leader sees a whole lot of cars ahead of him. That's a 5-car cluster right there. They're trying to keep on lead lap or tail on the lead lap or be going more than 1 lap down. That's Levon Vandergeest ahead. He started this race on the front row. Ryan Farrell has a lot of laps here at Madison in the super late. He's trying to hold position, but that's our race leader. Guess what Casey Johnson doesn't want? 2 wide racing ahead of him right now. Man, it's going to shorten things up quickly. And here comes Dalton Zier into frame in that red and black number 119.
Wow. Dalton Zier right on the rear bumper of Casey Johnson. Will he make his move in turn number 2? 5 laps to go. Casey Johnson able to hold 0 off as he looks underneath the 87 machine. Johnson was in position to take the win 1 year ago. With a lap to go, Jim, take us home.
It was a transmission and drivetrain change this morning before qualifying for Casey Johnson. That made magic, as well as their pit stop halfway through this one. In the final 2 corners, Casey Johnson has opened up the biggest gap he's had in the last 100 circuits. Off of turn 4, Edgerton, Wisconsin's Casey Johnson wins the Joe Shear Classic 200, presented by Keen Parts and CorvetteParts.net.
Victory Lane is winner of the 15th Joe Shear Classic, presented by Keen Parts. Takes a breath. The bright lights of MidwestTour.tv shine upon your winner. You can see his face, grinning from ear to ear on the Jumbotron. Your Joe Shear Classic winner is Casey Johnson. They didn't make it easy on you, did they? Congratulations, heck of a drive.
Yeah, I mean, the car was spot on. We developed a little blubber in the motor, you know, I don't know, about 40 laps in, and they just told me to deal with it. Nothing they could do. 119 breathing down my neck. That was a race. That was a good time.
There was a lot to keep track of in those last 25 laps. You had 0 on your tail and trying to go high side, low side, picking through those lappers.
Yeah, I mean, the lappers were, you know, they were real good. You know, they got out of the way. That double file restart with the 119 running on the high side. I mean, we barely even touched. That was some good racing there. I mean, I can't thank my guys enough. Hogan Farms, UAW Region 4, Valley Gasket, PMF Landscaping, Wagner Automotive, Reed Racing Chassis. I mean, I just got a whole army of guys behind me, and I just couldn't do it without them.
You do, man, and it shows. Winning a Joe Shear Classic, what's that mean to you?
Oh, it means everything. I mean, Joe Shear is a staple in short track racing in the Midwest, and that's just all there is to it. Every record book you look at, that guy's name's pasted all over it, and I tell you what, to win his race, that's pretty special to me.
Congratulations, hell of a drive, my friend.
Thank you.
Casey Johnson is the winner of the Joe Shear Classic.